Are you ready for the metaverse? Well, imagine building the metaverse with your phone. And to help with that phone is Matterport. Yes, the stock that we're reviewing today, ticker symbol MTTR. Now, the past video that I did on the metaverse did include Matterport as one of the stock picks. And if you would have invested, in full transparency, I invested 20 shares. We are now up over 13%, down a little bit today. But the question is it going to continue to go up, or are we actually going to see this continue to go down? That is what we're talking about and more in today's stock review of the metaverse. Now, I bought MTTR on the Webull platform. If you're interested in getting in on that, I have a link listed in the description below. Click on that, you can get yourself set up with a Webull account and get 2 free stocks when you sign up and deposit your first amount to trade with Webull. Now look, the metaverse, it's kind of huge. And in fact, I look at it as the next phase of technology. First, we had the computer. Then we had the internet. Now we have handheld devices that are computers with the internet. This is like Internet 3.0. We'll call it augmented reality. And Matterport, what they are, is a spatial data platform that takes buildings online and allows not only current design and real estate benefits, but the ability to capture this data, which will help bridge ourselves into the metaverse. Now, let's start first by talking about what MTTR is all about. Now, believe it or not, you can actually go into Amazon right now and pick up one of these fancy cameras for yourself if you want to capture your 3D data. So if you come over to Amazon, you type in Matterport. This is the most popular one. It goes for about $2,195. You set this thing on a tripod and it literally just circulates around and captures all of the data from your 3D building. It then puts it all together and creates an augmented reality experience for you, as well as so much more. But do you have an iPhone Pro version? If you see right here, in fact, let me see if I can get this focused correctly. This right here on the iPhone Pro is a LiDAR scanner. And that LiDAR scanner allows you to now download a Matterport app and capture it all from the comfort of your phone. Android just came out with some phones that support this as well, and this is what's really going to help us in getting not only the Matterport foundation built, but also the bridge into the metaverse. So I downloaded the Matterport app on my iPhone 13 Pro, and I decided to capture this room that I'm in right now. Let's go check it out. So you can do this for yourself. You download it for free, and then for the free version, you can capture one room and upload one room at a time. So here we are in the room that I'm sitting in right now. So check this out. I can come around here, and this is the corner that you're looking at right back here. Look how cool this is. This is all captured with my iPhone thanks to the Matterport app. You can see the ceiling up here. Look at all that. Isn't that cool? Now, what I really like about this is the ability to recognize 3D objects. Look at where we're at right now. Look, it knows. It goes flat against the book, and then rounded, round the corner, all that kind of good stuff. And that's really important for future design, which I'll share with you in just a moment. They also have new software technology coming out. So let's say, for example, you wanted to take a walkthrough of my house. Let me take you through this house right now. I'm gonna set my start limit and set my end limit. And by the way, I can move this around. If I want to start you over here, but I'm going to actually start you at the front door. We're going to walk upstairs and I'm going to hit play. Let's watch how cool this is. Right from the front door, we come in. Again, all captured with the Matterport software. We can walk upstairs. And if you think about it from a real estate foundational perspective, you have the ability to showcase a house without ever stepping foot inside the house. Side note, that actually isn't my house. Let's say we wanted to redesign our house. Let's say I don't like this floor anymore, but I want to see what would it look like with a different flooring material. I can come over here, click on my paintbrush, and let's select this as the floor. I'm going to blow up the size a little bit here, and look what it does. It literally paints through what you want to redesign. And it is so smart that it captures the wall perfectly. It actually knows where the wall is, so I'm not putting flooring on the wall in this example. And then I can go through and literally paint everything that I wanted to do as far as the flooring material. That way I can get a view of what this looks like before I actually commit to doing the construction. That's also huge when it comes down to their future competition that we'll talk about a little bit later on in the video. Now you might be like, well, wait a minute, Matterport seems very real estate heavy. I guess if I was a real estate agent, this would be a cool thing to invest in, but what about the metaverse? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's go under the hood. We're gonna look at their Q3 earnings presentation, as well as the future and their financials to see if this is a good stock to buy or one that's worth avoiding. And oh, by the way, none of this is financial advice. I'm just giving you the facts so you can make the best decision. Remember, I'm just some guy on YouTube who sometimes looks like Woody from Toy Story. Now, I will link this data in the description if you wanna check this out for yourself, and I'm not gonna bore you with all the details, but let's hop to some important parts. The very first one is subscriber growth. We need to start with the foundation before we get to the metaverse. The foundation is real estate. Subscribers is huge. Now you can see they're touting a 116% growth on subscribers. Do you see this right here? Okay, fine, but let's cut the BS for a second. If you look at this, they go from 203,000 subscribers in Q3 2020 to 439,000 in Q3 2021, but that's not paid subscribers. Let's cut to the chase. Let's follow the money because that's what this channel is about, right? 40,000 subscribers to 54,000 paid subscribers. So even though we're seeing 116% growth, me as an investor, as an owner of this company, I want to see more paid subscribers. How I think we can get there? More development, more software innovation, and more things like what we looked at with the design studio, the walkthroughs, and everything in between. Next up on deck is I want to see what kind of opportunities there are to partner with people, and they kind of talk through hospitality, commercial, industrial, corporate, real estate, travel, construction, retail, all of that good stuff, which is fine and dandy, but I want to continue to see them go out into the worlds beyond just real estate. And cutting right to that, this is where this becomes a serious deal and why I talked about it in the top stocks to consider buying for the metaverse. As you can see, they partnered with Facebook, now changing its name to Meta, for the opportunity to taking advantage of the data set of Facebook AI with some academic institutions. As Meta wants to continue to develop their opportunities and their technology for how we communicate for a better tomorrow, having Matterport capture that 3D spatial data is super important. Call this the infrastructure that leads us to where we need to be. Now, let's look at the financials. If you're not familiar with the smart steps that I use to understand the financials of a company to see if it's a good stock or not through fundamental research, click the link down in the description below to check out that video next. But before I get to my analysis, what do you think? Do you think Matterport will continue to stagnate, or do you think it will continue to rise up over the future? Leave a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. So Matterport launches in February 2020. Yeah, literally a month before the COVID lockdown. So a lot of the data that we're going to be reviewing today on Seeking Alpha is a little bit messed up because you come out of SPAC and then all of a sudden the world shuts down. So some of the financials are going to be a little bit screwed up, but that's okay. We want to continue to look forward to the future to ensure that what we're investing in is a smart idea or not. Now, right now, the PE ratio, price to earnings ratio, is actually in the negative. And that's because their earnings per share as of December 2020 is at negative $1.76. This gives us a bit of runway for growth, of course, because we want a PE ratio that's fairly low because we want to continue to get in on something that could have future major growth. But it's a little bit weird because it's in the negative, so we need to look at some other financials first before we understand where we stand with the green, red, or yellow light of that particular sector. Let's move on to revenue growth though. Revenue growth is going to get a green light from me, and here's exactly why. If you look at this, we have $46 million of revenue earned in December 2019. That follows up with $85.9 million in December 2020. And if you look at the trailing 12 months, that's at $107 million. So growth in this category is looking pretty darn sweet, and that's crucial to determine whether this stock price can continue its growth. But where things don't go as well as I'd like them to, as I look at revenue, is profit margin. Profit margin not looking too good. That will actually get a red light because if you look at this, profit margin calculated by the net income of the company divided by total revenue, we want it to be at a 10% profit margin goal when we do our fundamental analysis. This is in the red light because they're negative. If you look at their revenues, they're looking great, but then their operating expense is a complete and utter mess. Now, what I'll give them a pass on is research and development, R&D. That's good because that's reinvesting into new technology, new software, everything like that. That's great. That was $17 million. That's fine. But $59 million in operating expense and $41 million in general and admin expense. They need to find a way to continue to boost up their revenue to offset those costs, especially if they're hiring new people that can take them to the next level. That's fine. Get the revenues up, or find a way to cut down on some of those expenses so we can see a profitable margin. Now, what about the balance sheet? What we want to see is more assets and liabilities, just like you in your net worth. You want to see more assets than your liability. You want a positive net worth, not a negative one. Well, December 2020 shows that we have $71.9 million in total assets for Matterport against $28.4 million in liabilities. This is a good thing, and it's what we like to see, so guess what? They get a green light. Ownership potential, that's another huge one because we don't want a bunch of outstanding shares out in the market because that means we own less of the company as they keep diluting with more common shares outstanding. This one is going to get a red light though because what they're doing is they're issuing more shares as we go along, and sure, they could be using that money and that capital to reinvest in the business, but I don't want to see that continue to go up. We want that to eventually stabilize and go back down to have them buy more shares back. There are some warrants out there, and if they're exercised, they could actually add more shares to the outstanding shares total of Matterport. 2019, they had a total of 7.6 common shares, and that went up to 9.5 in 2020. Now, cash flow is next. That's also weak since they spend a lot of time reinvesting into their business and then some. So that means a total of 3 green lights for this one and 2 red lights. But as you can see, I'm still interested in Matterport. I'm not saying this is a trash stock by any means. I just want to see some continuing growth. What am I looking for and what should we look at as owners? Here's a couple things to keep an eye on. Number 1, we want to see more subscriptions and growth in the need for spatial technology monitoring. We saw a good growth of subscribers for the free version, but we want to see that paid version go up. We want more and more when it comes down to their overall real estate base and hospitality innovation. I want to see more partnerships with key companies. First of all, establish the foundation of real estate, but then also launch into the metaverse. Think about this. You go to Disney World. Wouldn't that be a great partnership? Disney World. They build a new attraction, and what they do is they capture everything within that attraction via Matterport to bridge you into augmented reality. That would be a cool experience. Imagine walking around and like Ariel comes walking up. No, walking? Yeah, she has her legs now, right? She comes walking up to you. But that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? That's what we want to see. Not the virtual reality stuff anymore. We want to take it to the next level in our theme park experience. Matterport could potentially be that option, and I'd love to see partnerships such as that, Facebook, as we already have seen, and much, much more. Number 3, get strong competition against things like NVIDIA Omniverse, for example. Now, in NVIDIA Omniverse, they have something really cool going on. They just recently partnered with BMW. And what they're doing over there is they're finding different ways to capture their data and actually have an ability to look at different factory modifications. What that does is it allows BMW to see if we change our factory, will it be more profitable to us? Will it actually help our delivery of future cars or new technology of cars? This allows them to do it in the Omniverse without actually building the infrastructure and the actual capital expenditure, which means if it sucks and it doesn't work, they can back out of it without spending all that money of actually building the factory. We want to see Matterport find new technologies and new softwares to compete with things like the Omniverse in the near future. And of course, the big one that I'm watching out for is, of course, Metaverse growth. We want to see, hear, and feel everything when it comes down to Metaverse growth, and having Matterport up front and center of that bridge to the future as a key point. I could always, if things go south, because as you know, companies always change and develop, it could go for the good or it could go for the bad. And that's why you need to continue to do your own financial research. But what other stocks are in the metaverse? That's the key question. Well, you can find out more in this video right here. Go check it out, and we'll see you over there.